Zed is the new Fury Chaos Legend coming out in Riftbound's 4th set Vendetta, and I have been playing him a lot. He was the first legend I picked up at the start of reveal season, and I've been playing a lot of different variations with each new set of cards revealed, but they all generally do the same insane thing, which is spam the board like an absolute madman. Zed is definitely the second coming of Miracle, perhaps a little more balanced, but you might second guess that once you see just how many units this deck can put out. I have two builds to showcase for you guys. Both revolve around the burn self-mill mechanic, and both put out a pretty insane board. I'm testing a few things, so I wanted to bring you guys this video to show you where I'm at with Zed, play a few games, and see what you guys think about it in the comments. So if you are a Zed enjoyer, definitely let me know. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at our first version of Zed. This one revolves around the new gear in Vendetta, which is called Endless Riches. This is a 5-cost, 1-power gear that says when you play this, banish your hand and trash, then burn 7. You skip your draw phase for as long as this card is out on the board. You may play cards from your trash, so your trash essentially becomes your hand, and if a card would go to the trash from anywhere besides your main deck, it gets banished instead. So essentially what this gear does, it turns your graveyard into your hand, pseudo acts like a draw 7, and then you want to add other cards to your trash via more mill and burn effects. We have more burn with things like Shadow Order Disciple, as well as our signature spell Deathmark, and because this build is so red heavy, we did add 2 copies of Falling Star, as well as 3 copies of Seal of Rage. The seals do give this the real miracle feel, and you are going to drop your whole hand onto the board, ideally before you play Endless Riches, so that you don't actually lose too much out of your hand, and it does act as like a true draw 7. You want to have an already established pretty decent board before you end up playing this gear. A couple of other neat things to note. We have the Minefield Battlefield, which is definitely a recall back to the glory days of Miracle. And when you have the Endless Riches out, this is basically a draw 2 because you mill 2 and then Endless Riches lets you play cards out of your trash. The other cool thing is that your Legend's Empowered ability, or I guess his Disempowered ability, and Traveling Merchant will act as true draw 1s without having to discard anything because you won't have a hand when you've activated Endless Riches. So there's a lot of cool synergies here. I also very much like the Shadow Cloaked Lurker. You want to mill as many of these as possible so that this way when you play one out of your trash, the first one costs 1, then the second one will cost 3, and those are really cheap 5 might units. Now we'll take a look at the second version, which is honestly the one I like a little bit more because the Endless Riches variation has the weakness of if Endless Riches ever gets removed from the board, you're not really playing the game anymore because you have absolutely no hand and you can't just play everything out of your graveyard like you originally intended to. So this aims to do a very similar thing through Invert Timelines, which again, in this build as well, you will be playing with an extremely low hand, sometimes a 0-card hand, and you'll have the ability to play things out of your trash with flow. But in those cases, Invert Timeline is literally a draw 4, and it can also disrupt your opponent pretty heavily. So it's very, very good for that. The one weakness of this, of course, is going to be spell counters. The main one is going to be Defy. So it is a little bit annoying when you are up against a green deck and really want to get your Invert Timelines off. But they don't always see it coming, especially because there's no pre-established known build for Zed yet. So sometimes they'll defy other stuff like your signature spell Deathmark, which is a solid Defy target, or they'll just tap out, not realize and they can be susceptible to Invert Timelines, and then you kind of go from there. You can really ignore the sideboard here. This is just me kind of messing around with stuff like Vex Apathetic, Ride the Wind, things like that. But the main board here, we go for a lot of one-ofs because whether you're milling them and playing them through Fizz, or they just have flow in general, like Perfect Execution and Brittle Steel, you're able to play through your graveyard a little bit, which is pretty nice. So we'll play some games with both these builds, and you let me know in the comments below which one you end up liking more. Alright, so we're going to start with the version of Zed that I like a little bit more, which is the Card Destruction Invert Timeline Zed. For Battlefields, I always put out Zon Warrens in Game 1. Surprisingly, this card wasn't banned, but it's just the best generic Game 1 Battlefield. Seat of Power is for going first. This is very much double Conquer deck, and then Minefield is for going second, because most of our opponents don't actually like self-milling. So we're up against the Rivalry matchup. We're up against Shen. Luckily, I get to go first. So we'll go ahead and take a look at our top cards here. I'm not really expecting much gear from them, except maybe like a random Zonias. I do think 2 Deathmark is not completely necessary, because 1 copy is essentially 2 copies, and Perfect Execution is a really strong card, so I think I'll mulligan like this. Luckily, we do get into a 2-drop, so we'll drop the Shadow Order Disciple, and we will pass. Turn 1 plays from this guy are most likely going to be like Mournful Witness. Lonely Poro is, of course, also an option. Now, what am I looking at here? Probably a Deathmark plus Noxus Hopeful. I can do a couple of annoying things. I can get into Kinku Temple first and deny him the opportunity to essentially gain +1, because this battlefield with this legend is literally just give +1 at action speed, which is pretty good. So I think getting into this battlefield is kind of good. Maybe even dropping the Hopeful to hold is also kind of good. So I think I will do that. We'll go ahead and drop one of these to the grave because we want to start filling up our grave. He says that's all good. Now, second play is going to be to drop a Deathmark. He could, of course, defy this. He is not going to, so I'm going to mill 3. Not the best mills, at least for cards that actually have flow, but that's okay. We'll make our Shadow token in our base. We will play Noxus Hopeful directly to the battlefield, trying to deny him a little bit. He can go over to Zon Warrens, but that's fine. I'll be up ahead in points. And our spam strategy is starting off pretty well. Next turn could just be a double retreat and then play a Zed. The Shen and his Chosen Champion is also important too. It's not the yellow reaction one from set 1. So that's always a good thing to keep an eye on. Only Poro goes to Zon Warrens. That's totally fine. If he ends up tapping out for this Shen, I can actually probably punish that pretty decently. He discards Sacred Protector. Okay, so he's going to play Shen Kinku directly from hand. Interesting. Good play, though, because now he does still have energy open for interaction. He'll hide something here. Now, I can't just run in the Shadow Clone for free because it's not going to trade. This is a tank, so I can't really kill the Lonely Poro here. I do hold at the Kinku Temple. I think we just pull everything back. Probably just play Zed to our base. So let's go ahead and move this back first. We'll mill the top card. Just a 2-drop. Kind of happy I'm not drawing that, though, so that's pretty good. We'll bring back the Noxus Hopeful. I will be a little bit weak to Shadow Dash shenanigans, so that's a little bit unfortunate, but I still think our best option is to set up here. We have a lot of units in base, so I think this is pretty good. He'll hold a 2. All right, so he's just going to go Scuttle Crab and pass, still holding at the Zon Warrens. I can still take this time just to keep setting up, which honestly doesn't seem too bad. I can just like conquer with Zed at the Kinku Temple and deny him from moving him to the Scuttle Crab and then playing his Chosen Champion, as well as setting up more Shadow Clones in base to swing over to the other side. I can also follow that up with a Deathmark, so that seems kind of good. So let's go ahead and just move Zed up here. Pass focus. He'll pass focus as well. I will make a Shadow Clone for conquering. I am thinking about what else I might play from my hand, because I am going to float some power for Deathmark. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's just pay 2. Let's recycle 1. This is going to be floating to play Deathmark from grave. He is not going to defy, so I'll mill a top 3. Rough to see 2 battering rams, but it is what it is. We're going to play another Shadow Clone. Now, this Deathmark is going to be removed, so our legend will become empowered. I think I will probably pitch this Perfect Execution. Getting 2 uses out of it would be awesome, but I think I just need to see some more units. Rebuke is a very interesting draw here. Very interesting and very useful with the right situation. So now I'm thinking, do I run all this in? He could do some stun shenanigans. He's looking at a 7 might turn here with like maybe a Hidden Blade, maybe some weird stuff like that. I could, of course, accelerate Pike, which would add to the pressure here. That's probably a pretty good option. Or I can just go right for Perfect Execution. I don't hate that either, to be honest with you. I think I'll probably go Pike. So now this is going to be a 4. I kind of find it hard for him to deal with all this. So let's go ahead and just swing like this. So we are going to have to remove a unit in our grave to give this assault, which is going to go ahead and then empower our legend again. And we also get to mill 1. Getting another Sig spell is not bad. This is going to go up to a 3. So it looks like he does have some sort of interaction in the combat. Hidden Blade is going to target Pike. Sure. I'll draw 2. I'm still going to be 4, 8, 11 to 7. He can stun. He can stun here. So I'm still 7 to 7. This would still be a trade, and I would still conquer here. He'll go ahead and kill the Hopeful as well as the Shadow Clone. So the stun didn't actually get him too far there. I will take the conquer here, though. What is my discard off this going to be? Using stack deck here seems pretty good, but I think at this point, we can just get rid of Invert Timelines. Worst case scenario, I can always just use it off of the Fizz. I kind of want to go ahead and use a stack deck here. Really, like a Noxus Hopeful would be nice. Ask and you shall receive. Thank you very much. That'll all go to the bottom. I feel pretty good, honestly, about hiding this switcheroo. Now, if I do tap out, I do leave my Zed a little bit vulnerable. So maybe the Noxus Hopeful wasn't as good as I thought it was. So maybe we just go like this. And we pass. Because I really don't want to lose my Zed if I can help it. He's in a rough spot, though. He can't go into either battlefield because the Scuttle Crab doesn't even trade with a Shadow Clone because neither unit would deal damage to each other. So this is probably just a setup turn for him, which is pretty funny. Yep, so I do get a double hold here. Zed comes out of this very safe. I think I have to leave the Shadow Clone up there because I'm not going to get rid of the switcheroo, but that's totally fine. Now, not having seals here is definitely a bit awkward. I can just start dropping Rasas. Although I could do that next turn with Bushwhack, actually, which is kind of funny. But I don't really have anything to spend my energy on for this turn. So I could go double Rasa into Hopeful. Keeping so much of this seems so good. I probably have to do this and pitch Bushwhack because I have the Fizz in hand. Seal is not bad, so I can go ahead and like float this, play Seal, play Rasa, use one and the floated to play Noxus Hopeful, use another purple to play Rasa, and say go. Luckily, you're getting a good showcase of the actual spam capability of this deck. Yep, the Scuttle Crab there is going to be perfectly fine. Shen is going to go there. I will reveal the switcheroo. You would have to have not so fast because Defy won't stop this. I guess he could also like Hidden Blade if you really wanted to. Dang, so he loses the Shen. That's probably GG if it wasn't already, but we'll see if he has something to take this over. This is now going to be a 6 for the turn. He'll drop a Sacred Protector in this battlefield. This card is very much like Galio. I don't deal combat damage unless I'm at a battlefield with exactly one other unit you control. So I can just like go trade with the Crab, and then this Protector will never kill another unit that I have, which is kind of funny. So I also just have the Rebuke, which I don't think he really has an answer for. So I think we really just swing with everything. I have Perfect Execution in my grave, so I guess technically what I am supposed to do is pull this token back, go ahead and activate the Perfect Execution from grave. 1, 2, 3, recycle a red. That's going to empower my legend. I am choosing this token, which readies it and gives it Assault 3. I'll go ahead and use my legend, discard Battering Ram, draw a card. I want to keep the 2 open for the Rebuke. So we're going to move in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units. We will remove 1, 2, 3 units from the grave. And that's going to be GG. So yeah, you did see this good spam potential. I know Shen is probably not perceived to be one of the best decks in Vendetta, but we got to see what this Zed deck's all about. Let's now take a look at the other version with the Endless Riches. All right, once again, this is the Endless Riches variation of Zed. I think this one has a lot more weaknesses, to be honest. I'm trying out Orange Forge because if you take it over, you actually get to play Endless Riches for an energy less. But honestly, Zon Warrens is just the best battlefield with a strategy because once you dump your entire hand for for the Endless Riches, you actually just get straight up draw 1s, which is pretty cool. We're up against Ambessa, which I actually think is a very, very good deck. In our opener, we do see Endless Riches, 2 Rasas, and a stack deck. Yikes. I think we have to actually just ship back both Rasas. We'll probably never see them again, but it is what it is. You pay the price to play. All right, we have the Shadow Order Disciple coming down. We will pass. Notably, this build also plays the Red Zed Chosen Champion because we play Red Seals. This is Legion Marauder, Empower for 1 or an orange power, and then when empowered, I have +1 might. Okay, so that actually gets to beat over Shadow Order Disciple for free, which I'm not the biggest fan of. I can start with a stacked deck, or I can just start with a Zed. What's kind of funny is I feel like I can kind of deny him out of this battlefield by putting Zed up here, but if he has a punch first, I lose a bunch of my units, so maybe that's not like the greatest thing ever. So I think I might just go the double conquer route. Start with a stacked deck. Getting all this is pretty good. I think I'll take the signature spell. I think I will then set up a Noxus Hopeful. And now I'm looking at like a turn 4 Endless Riches because I want to get this Death Mark used before I actually lose it. Although I don't have to do that, I guess. But I think we'll pass here. I guess actually next turn I can drop Seal, probably hide Edge of Night, and then play Endless Riches to lose the least amount of cards out of my hand. That's probably a little bit of a better move. I don't love letting him get into the Risen Altar for free, but I don't think losing all my units to a punch first is the way to win this game. So we'll see what he ends up doing. Notably, his 4-drop Ambessa is a Chosen Champion here. I'm a little bit more afraid of the yellow one, so I'm pretty happy about that. That's fine if he wants to empower, which is essentially free here. I think he's floating one there. Uses that to retreat his units. And then plays Irresistible Fate, folks. So I think he missed the fact that he could have actually cheapened his empower, but that's okay. I can go for a double conquer here. The Irresistible Fate Folk is honestly going to be pretty annoying, not going to lie. I kind of want to put this up here to deny the Risen Altar. I would also like to... Actually, I can wait to move Shadow Order Disciple because I'll get an extra mill off Endless Riches. And I think it is the turn to drop Endless Riches. So we'll float one here. We will hide the Edge of Night. We'll pay 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 1 floated to drop Endless Riches. So we are going to banish everything, including the stack deck in our grave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm also gonna disable auto untap draw now. So that also empowers my leader. I only have 1 energy, so there's not much I can play out of here this turn, but that's fine. Also, funnily, the more Endless Riches that you mill, the more you can play and hopefully keep the engine going. But I can move Shadow Order Disciple now. I can get a mill, which is going to essentially be a draw. I score there, and because I don't have any cards to discard, I get to draw a card off Zon Warrens. That's going to be Deathmark, which is a pretty good draw in this case, to be honest. So we'll go ahead and pass it over. I really like having this Edge of Night here because it makes his Irresistible Fake Folk plays a little bit worse. He does get a free swing over the Disciple with the Legion Marauder. And I do have stack deck in my grave, so I do have some interaction, which is pretty cool. He'll go to 3. I think I will go ahead and use the stack deck. Brittle Steel, not too worried about any shenanigans with gear. The seal would be nice, but I think that now that Deathmark is a raw draw 3, I think we take this to our hand. And we let him go over the Disciple, and this is actually going to be banished, and so is this actually. So he does get a score there. Irresistible Fey Folk doesn't look like it is moving anything. He does have a Vi Peacekeeper though. That's unfortunate because I am going to reveal this. I am going to equip it, but that's still going to be 6 to 6, and my Hopeful is stunned, so he does get to keep the battlefield. Very unfortunate for me. But we will persevere. Untap 2. We don't draw. Now I can just go for double Deathmark. I'm on 6. So double Deathmark plus Noxus Hopeful seems like my play. I really hate the fact that he's going to get all these units back to base. But I don't have any... I could accelerate with Pike, but then I still don't have anything else to punish him any further. So I think this is probably our play. Mill 3, which is essentially a draw 3. Oh, meant to hit discard on that. And then this is going to be removed. We did hit another seal, so we'll play that. 1, 2, and the seal. We'll play the Shadow Clone. And we will go ahead and play our Noxus Hopeful. Oh, actually, no, this Noxus Hopeful is banished. Getting a draw off of our Zed Legend. Honestly, not loving the spot of this game, but we will persevere. We'll also get to take a look and see what Ambessa is capable of. But you can see how this variant is a little bit slower than the Invert Timelines variant because you just don't really have... there's a really hefty play to play Endless Riches. The turn you play it, you're probably not actually playing much else from your grave. So he does get the opportunity here to play his Ambessa. We'll go ahead and empower it. That's a very, very big unit. Very problematic, to be honest. So we'll go ahead and untap everything here. Ramp 2. Oh, we don't draw for turn. That's a mistake. All right. So, yeah, I think we're in a really, really bad spot here. I think we just have to kind of move up Noxus Hopeful. I guess we should play Fizz before we actually draw. I have Rebuke, which is not Starcross, so I can't hit anything in his base. All right, so this is definitely a very unfortunate situation, but I think what we will do here, we'll move Noxus Hopeful up to the Risen Altar. We'll go ahead and score there. I guess we will also just move a token up here. But first, before we do that, actually, we are going to play our Zed Chosen Champion. We're going to discard this Fizz, which is going to banish it. Also going to empower our Legend. It's going to give us a Shadow Clone. And we do that because once we move up to the Zon Warrens, we get a free draw. Perfect Execution doesn't help us too much right now. Maybe it'll help us on the next turn, but still, this is looking very, very rough. So we are going to equip the Edge of Night here, but we know for a fact he can beat over this. So honestly, I'm just going to scoop this one up, maybe go to a third game with this Endless Riches strategy. All right, one more time for the Endless Riches. I will go ahead and start an Orange Forge just for the lulls. We do get to go first. Zed Mirror Match. Okay, this should be interesting. Let's see what we get to start off with here. 2 Fizz is very unfortunate. Edge of Night is also kind of weird, so I guess I'll just mulligan like this. We do hit a 2-drop, which is always very fortunate. We'll pass it over to our opponent. He'll also start with a Traveling Merchant, as well as a Doran's Ring. Very interesting. Actually, makes sense, because you do want to fill up your trash, although the power cost is not the greatest thing ever, but it is what it is. I think here I will probably go for a Zed Chosen Champ play. Discarding probably the Shadow Order Disciple. This way, if he moves up, he's pretty much going to just lose his unit. He could go for a Zed without a sound here, but if he does that, I can punish pretty heavily with Falling Star. He will use the Doran's Ring to attach to the Merchant. So he's going to get a lot of draw here, that's for sure. He's actually going to draw 3 cards here, which is kind of insane. You're good there. Discards a Rasa and a Shadow Cloak Lurker. He'll play Ride the Wind to draw 1,000,000 more cards. Sure, that sounds good. He's taking a big hit on runes, notably, but his Traveling Merchant will be safe. I think the fact that I put out Orange Forge is a dead giveaway of what I'm playing, which is kind of funny. All right, so not the greatest position in the world for me. Unfortunately, Falling Star doesn't hit this because it's a 4 might unit. I have to put some units up there to die. I will probably go ahead and start with the stack deck. Rasa is nice, but it's a little bit early. I do think Pike is interesting, though. Hiding here is probably going to be what I want to do. So we'll put that at the bottom. We'll drop this. I have to move up Zed and Merchant, right? So what am I actually discarding for these couple of turns? I can actually play Noxus Hopeful, which is pretty good. I'm not really too afraid of him now, to be honest, because he just doesn't have a whole lot going on in his hand. So I think we'll go ahead and drop Zed up here. I think I have... Actually, I don't really need Fizz right now. Fizz is not doing too much for me. I could also just hold on to Fizz, though, and then play Falling Star later. So probably get rid of... I think I'll get rid of Fizz. I'm going to have to get rid of multiple cards anyway, but we'll see how that goes. Oh, this is a perfect discard, so that's great. I like that a lot. I also like being able to keep Falling Star in my hand because it would hopefully allow him to play Zed and then get killed by it. So we'll go ahead and move the Merchant. We'll draw off of that one, which feels pretty okay. Now I can play Hopeful on one of these sides and then hide Pike on the other. I don't know why I actually recycle because I have a seal, but I guess I can just use that when I flip Pike. So we'll go ahead and pass back to our opponent. I don't think he's going to have the easiest time getting over either of these battlefields, to be honest. So I imagine he is going to pass focus there. This is going to become a 4. He'll have to have something like a cleave to trade with this. There's a cleave. If he wants to trade, though, I'm actually still kind of okay with that. Sure. Everything will die. Probably attach Ring to Kennen, I imagine. But does he come fight me here, or is he going to go over to the Orange Forge? Okay, he'll go over to Orange Forge. That is fine. I do like the fact that I have the Falling Star for the Viam base. That's going to hold over on the right side. I can deal enough damage to where the clone can trade. So I think that's the play. Battle Clone is going to move in here. We will banish this. We will empower our leader, which is going to force a trade. I am going to be on odd points, which is a little awkward, but that's okay. We will pull these back. We will pay 2 for a Death Mark. Discarding these 3 units. We'll make another Shadow Clone, and we now have 10 in the drop, so we will go ahead and play Rasa. We'll also get a free draw off of Zed for another Death Mark. Do I take the opportunity here and just push? I think so. That's 2 Shadow Cloak Lurkers in Grave, which is kind of cool. Now, at this point, I think we've just given up on any opportunity to play Endless Riches, but that's okay. We're very far ahead here on board. We have things out of our grave that we can actually play. And he'll play a Zed, and he will pass. So, yeah, Zed's annoying, but, I mean, I can also just do stuff like this, where I go up to this battlefield with Rasa. I don't really want to give him like a free battlefield, so I think I'm going to do this. Pay 4 to put this here. Move Zed and Hopeful up here. Get a free draw. And now he has to kind of... I guess he might actually have Perfect Execution engraved. He does, so that's going to make him an 8. Which doesn't actually swing over any of these by itself, so I think that's okay. Plus I have the Shadow Clones in the back, so... If he wants to invest in killing these, I guess with the Doran's Ring, he becomes a 9, so sure. Then I can most likely kill the Zed on the clapback. Invert Timelines. I'm cool with that. I'll draw 4 cards. It means he does probably crack my board now, but I'm very okay with that. You can see how great minds think alike, though. So let's see what the real play is here. Gonna go ahead and drop a Fizz. Surely it's not another Invert Timelines. Star-Crossed, okay. Sure. What are you bouncing here? We'll bounce the Hopeful back, which makes sense. I mean, bouncing Zed gives me pretty good value, so I understand why you wouldn't want to do that. He does get to make a Shadow Clone for doing that. Conquers to 4. He does have 1 open in order to swap out with his Shadow Clone, which is pretty good for him. And he's typing in the chat, GG. And he has left. Yeah, I think I definitely was a little bit too far ahead here. I can rebuke his Zed. I can move up the Shadow Clones and fight. He can even swap the Zed back. Doesn't really matter all that much. I'd probably just go for the rebuke play, then make him have to reestablish it, and then he wouldn't really have too much to fight me back. But overall, hope you guys enjoyed this little bit of a showcase. Got to play against some Vendetta decks, which was kind of cool. Got to show you guys what Zed is capable of. I hope you can see how absolutely spammy this strategy is. But if you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I'll see you guys in the next one.